collecting Tomica Limited Vintage is just different. When I bring them out for the YouTube channel, it's like the vibe is different. I know that the audience is a little bit different. I think some of you waiting to see the latest Hot Wheels and things like that, kind of like, well, I don't know about those. They're too expensive. They're different. They're not my game. Um, some of you might think they're even a little boring. I don't know. But this is like my museum side of the collection. Like, I'm not one. I have my office full of, with the walls full of Hot Wheels and other things, on display. That's my office. But if I were to ever bleed into like my decor, and I love furniture and I love design and things, if I were to ever show anything kind of in a more public realm, like beyond collecting, beyond my own little bubble, it's this stuff. It's totally different. It's created differently. It's thought out differently. And I always know that the audience is going to be a little bit different too. Some of you might just want the Hot Wheels, but you'd see this. I don't know. Nonetheless, I'm updating some of the recent releases from the last 2 months. All of this came from Japan Booster. They are a Lamley partner. They send me the models as they come out. I love to show them. JapanBooster.com is where you can pre-order stuff, and you'll be delighted to see what's coming. They just announced some new stuff this week. And then their eBay store, which I'll also link below, has what we're showing today, plus a bunch of other stuff. It's a huge store. It's got a ton of great stuff. Let's get to it. I'm going to start with Ferrari. A couple months ago, they released a couple of Ferraris. This is the 512. Everything always to scale. We'll start with this white model. The first thing I'll show you is that the Ferraris have opening parts. Not all Tomica Limited Vintage do, but these do. And you can see the engine there, and then here is the model. We've seen this casting several times before. I don't see the letter on this to know how many versions they've done before. I thought about bringing these out, but there's always a couple of Ferraris released every couple of months, and maybe when we have another Ferrari release or a new casting, I'll bring out some of them. I have them all on display. So this one in like kind of a cream white. I wouldn't call it pearl white, but kind of a cream white. It's a very nice color. These are like mid-80s Ferraris, which was kind of a hit and miss era. I think the 90s were more of a miss. The 80s had the Testarossa, which was a total hit. And this is the yellow version. Different engine on these. You can, the replicas are so good. You can judge the Ferraris not based on the casting quality, but you can judge them on the actual quality of the actual car based on how Tomica Limited Vintage does it. So those are the two latest Ferraris. There's more coming. Like I said, go to JapanBooster.com. Just check them out because they've got them up. What's coming. Here's a new one. I'm going to show you both cases here, and then we'll walk to them. This is, here, we'll turn them around like this way. LVN264. This is Neo. This means newer cars. I think it's like 80s and up is Neo. 70s and below and before is just Tomica Limited Vintage. This is the Toyota Corolla Wagon G Touring 1.5. I think they both are. Yep. Two ways to look at it. One, it's just a boring street car, a Corolla Touring Wagon. Another way to look at it is it's another addition to an exceptional fleet of realistic cars from Tomica Limited Vintage. I've said this before, they only do castings if they can actually get their hands on the real car to really put the details together. So everything here, the separate tail lights, headlights, everything is done to scale. If they had to, or to detail, here's the silver one. If they had to change anything, like update the headlights, update the taillights, they'll just go to a whole new casting. But they'll never do anything, they're allowed to. It's not Hot Wheels or Matchboxes. They have to run with certain SKUs and certain castings, right? But what Tomica Limited Vintage will do is keep everything entirely accurate. So if from 1984 to 1985 something changed, then they'll change the entire casting or modify that detail. All right, so that's Neo, the Corolla Wagon. There's two just from the Tomica Limited Vintage. This is, let's see, C and D. So there's been two other versions of the Datsun Fairlady 2000. We've seen several of these, approaching 10, and here's the two most recent. We'll start with the silver one. Now, what's cool about this is they actually give you two options with the Fairlady. They give you with a, they actually provide the car, I'll even show you, this way. This is how the car comes with the two notches in the back. and they give you a roof, and they give you just the they give you an open option. So I chose the roof for this one. Let's see if I can put it on. There we go. I chose the roof for the silver model, so now you can see that. They give you both. Like I said, I've got the other one just in the box. But you had to open the package. But obviously I was going to add that one. So that one's with the roof. And then they have the other piece, which is this little, like, it's everything open. So you can put that piece on to create that. So I actually pulled that one out for the yellow one. So I've got the roof packaged up still in the box. So the yellow, I love the yellow on this. So those are really, really cool. You fans of the Fairlady, you've seen Hot Wheels do it. Now this is more of, I think, of the Lamley audience. Two releases, actually two different ones. So if you look, there's the cars, and just look at the numbers. That's LVN 186D. This is LVN 187D. So these are two of the fourth versions of two different castings. If you start looking at the details here, you can see that they're different. And then I'll just turn them this way so you can see. Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 4 and a Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 5. They like to release these in pairs, but they actually, they cheated a little bit because these aren't the same car. Let's start with the 4 in red. Now again, I'll pull out these Lancers because there's quite a few now. They started releasing these maybe a couple of years ago. And I'll pull them out. But yeah, two completely, 4 and the 5 are totally different. At least some of the trim is different, right? You Evo geeks can get into all the detailing here. But yeah, I don't know if it comes across on the turntable, but the interior is two-tone, red and black. This one does get the side mirrors, which I'm happy about. You don't have to glue on anything. I don't think they even give you a piece that you have to glue on. But these are hits. I mean, obviously, this is the kind of stuff that I think this is the crossover from like maybe the Hot Wheels world to the TLV world. And then here's the 5. Obviously, a little bit different when it comes to the trim. Well, I mean, a little bit different in a million ways. Grill, front, rear, all of that's a little bit updated and obviously different from one generation to the next. But I really like the silver one too. And the silver cars obviously show a lot of the detail. So you go from there then to a completely different kind of casting. Let me show you the box. I only pulled out one of these. The other one came in one of their little diorama sets, but this is the Honda TNV Panel van. We've seen a couple of these small little key cars from Honda and Tomica Limited Vintage. This thing is just so cool. And done to scale. You can see it on the turntable. It's a lot smaller. I harp on this a lot, but Tomica Limited Vintage is religious about scale. So is Auto World. I think those are the two that are the most specific about scale. Mini GT is there, but I would put Tomica Limited Vintage and Auto World as the two that are the strictest when it comes to scale. And this thing is so cool. All the details there, but it is tiny. Okay, I finished filming and realized I didn't show that one cool vehicle in the back. You probably noticed the sliver of it. And what's a TLV video without showing off the cool buses? They do trucks and buses also to scale. And this is the latest. I think this was released in the last month. I just love these. I'll show you the box first. This is the first version of the Hino Blue Ribbon. We're going to probably see the way they do it. Well, I'm sure we're going to see a few more of these released in the coming months. It will come with some mirror pieces that you can add on. I usually don't do that, and I'm not going to be able to figure out, but these are always licensed, so I don't know. This could be a particular city bus. What does that say? Tokyo Transit. So probably a Tokyo Transit bus, but here it is. I'll show you the top so you can see the detailing on the top. I always like to show the bottom so you can see like the accuracy of the wheels, for example. Why not put two wheels on there? Because that's how it is. Even though you're not going to see them, they do the two wheels in the back. And then here is, well, I can also kind of try to get up close on here. I'll even turn this around. On the interior. And then you can see the bus itself on the turntable. Just an amazing amount of detail. And this is, I understand, most collectors that I cross paths with, at least in the Lamley world, we're talking JDMs, Skylines, Lamborghinis, Porsches, Mercedes, BMWs. We ain't talking city buses. But come on, you got to geek out on some of these. And if you're not going to buy them, I understand. But it's kind of like I say, there's certain models that I just say, hey, if you can at least have one, it's worth it. And if you have even the smallest Tomica Limited Vintage collection, if you can, they're more expensive. If you can snag a city bus, always worth it. Let's go to the Countach, and then we'll finish off with the 787B. This is a new, I'll show off the box. They've done, this is the more updated Countach, right? This is the, they're calling it the 25th anniversary Countach. With these European cars, the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, they all have opening parts. And so they're focusing on the scissor doors with the Countach. So I'll show you that. I haven't even done this yet, so. Open both sides. Yeah, this one is better. They even have the, you can see the engine there. And then close that up, and then here it is with the scissor doors. Just kind of show it to you so you can see the interior here. Obviously done, incredibly detailed. Show you the interior and the dashboard, and then get these closed up, and let's check out the car itself. I love the wheels, love the car. Wonder if we'll see that white one with the big spoiler eventually. I hope so, because I'd love to see their take on it, because they're just so good at detailing. I think that Countach is fantastic, and it makes up for some of my frustration with the first one. All right, let's talk about the 787B. Here it is. Now, this is interesting, because I wonder if it's, you know, they want to release this around the 24 Hours of Le Mans, because the 787B, and this particular one, the number 55, is the famous one, right? It's the first Japanese car to win Le Mans, and sounds great. It's just an amazing, amazing, legendary car. I got to see it in person at one point. But here's the interesting thing. Before I even show you the model, they've done 5 previous. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They started with the number 55, which is which I think was the winner. Then they did the number 202, which I think might have been like, was on the team, and I think it might have run in some other races prior to, might have been the previous version, I can't remember, but it was the reverse orange and green from the first orange and green. Then we've had the white and blue, we've seen that trim before. Had the turbo fans on the front with all of these with the one exception, we'll get to that. So the blue and white version, and then the Ifini green and white that we've seen as well, where even the headlights are gone. So you can even see, if I even pull out, like here's the blue and white, there's the headlights. Done, but the green and white Ifini never had them, so Tomica Limited Vintage changed it and did not include the headlights. Oh, and you know what? Look, that's the same here. The number 55 has the headlights. The number 202, I don't know if I've ever noticed that, does not. Interesting. And then the last one until this recent release is this black, I think maybe a test model. Now it doesn't have the turbo fan, so it gets the gold 5 spokes entirely. And this one I love in the matte black. No racing trim, just the Mazda logo, orange rear view mirrors. It's just a really, really cool model, orange spoiler. Now here's the thing about these two. When they change them up, and I'll actually do this with the first gen, is removable pieces. So you can remove the hood to see the front of the model, and you can remove the back to see the engine. So these are all 5, and that's, I can, without putting that on the turntable, there are all the details for you. Isn't that insane for a 164 car? It's all about the details with Tomica Limited Vintage. So there it is. There's the fleet, but here's the thing that I think is interesting. Put these like this. Is this new one is also the number 55. So I'll pull it out. Here it is. I'm going to pull out the first number 55, And I'm going to ask you, without trying to drop these, without dropping them. First one over here. This is the new one. And there you go. Checking the damage, checking the damage. We are okay. That fell on concrete. Do you see any details that are different? I only see one. So I'm not entirely sure why they did the number 55 again. Maybe just to give, because this was in such high demand, this first one. Maybe to give other people a chance to buy it. But the only difference I see, or maybe there was a detail that they didn't include that they needed to. So if you look on this one, look right behind the rear window and it's just green. If you look on this one, look right behind the rear wheel, and there's a little silver circle with a 788 maybe. I can't totally tell. My eyes aren't good enough, and I'm just looking at the screen. That's the only difference I can find. The other difference, and yeah, do you think I'm freaking out because that piece fell off? And considering how expensive that model is, I totally am, but it's okay. No damage. This one, no silver trim outside of the front. This one has that one little silver notch. That's the only detail that I can figure out. I looked at the engines, no difference. But nonetheless, you've got two number 55s. Whether these were actually two different cars, I don't know. I might have to do my research. Wheels seem the same. Everything else seems the same. But if it's just literally that these were two different number 55s that they did, and one of them had that little silver trim and the other one did not, maybe that's all it is. And that speaks to the incredible detail and accuracy that Tomica Limited Vintage goes with their cars. I don't know. But there we go. We have two of them. And I'll just put them like that. You guys tell me what you think. Whew. Everything's okay. Almost destroyed a very, very expensive model, but you know, that's the sacrifice I make to make these videos for you guys. Let me know what you think. Which one's your favorite? Which ones might you snag? You can do it at Japan Booster, and go look at what's coming up. It's pretty cool. Thanks, everybody. Bye.